Well, I'm sorry to hear that you have filled up your hard drive with Stellar Blade mods, but
I'm not.
I'm glad you're having a.
I'm not.
I'm glad you're having a good time with Stellar Blade on the PC. I hear the modding scene has gone bananas. What's your favorite mod so far?
So because she looks cold all the time.
Yeah.
The ones that I've invested in are basically like parkas and anything to cover that woman up. Like she looks frigid. Like there are environmental details where it's like you would be just
Yeah.
You're
the one download on the parka mod. Like the only user to clothe her more. I was reading an article that Stellar Blade, for anyone who doesn't know, it's the action something game. I don't know what kind of game it is. Just an action adventure game, sci-fi thing with a very loosely
fight giant robots.
Yes, and one of the main draws to the game is the fact that you're playing a super hot chick who was wearing not very much and can wear considerably less as you progress throughout the game, which is actually
Depends on your preference, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know your
you
preference.
unlock outfits throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
I played and beat it, so I would know.
Yes. What's funny is they said 41% of the mods on Nexus are adult rated, which means like you can't download them if you're under a certain age. You know, like
gotcha.
It's inappropriate, and then a good percentage of the rest, like probably most of the rest, are still like in the not safe for work category, which is hilarious.
Well, admittedly, the entire game is like
That's
not
fair.
safe for work.
You'd
right?
have to
like,
do
would
a
you
bit
feel
of work.
comfortable? Would you feel comfortable playing that game like at work? Probably not. You know?
No.
Yeah,
It's true. I mean, like, yeah, any just ridiculous action game, I wouldn't. But yeah, you'd have to do a lot of work to make that game safe for work. Anyway, it's doing really well.
Though.
Holy smokes, it's got some high player numbers.
I'm actually surprised by how well it's doing because I think that it was just like one of the best, if not the best, PC PlayStation game. Like it's doing very well, and like a part of me is like, wow, like it's like I said, it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. It's a solid title, but I didn't think it was like best of the best, like everyone's got to play it kind of a title, right? So
you know what I like about this is marketing bros are going to be like, we got to get boobs back in games. You want that money? Like they're just good. They're looking at it and it's like, we're about to enter another era of booby gaming. Like I remember maybe it was, I want to say high school to college era of gaming. They had like Dead or Alive beach volleyball and those types of games. Yeah. Where it was just like clearly the content of the game took a distant second to just
the fan service.
Yes. That was when they invented jiggle physics, basically. And they're like, check it out, you know?
Check it out, guys. Yeah. Aren't you excited?
Yeah. And so that was like a whole wave. And I feel like that wave died down. And maybe Stellar Blade's going to kick off the second era.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited.
It could be. I can tell. Yeah.
Well, I know you've been playing a bunch of Dune Awakening.
I have. Yeah. Did you want to talk about Dune or did you want to talk about the game of the year, MindsEye?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
do we want to save that for later? I mean, it's up to you.
Let's talk about MindsEye. I mean, it is game of the year. We can't put game of the year at the end of the podcast. I did not play it, sir. I did see a lot of clips on it and I watched a few reviews that were very entertaining. I know you played it because
I did play it.
You just got to play everything, Matt. You're just like,
I do have to play everything. Now, granted, this was for a sponsored segment. I about a month ago got approached and I was like, oh, this game looks cool. Looks like it's got a big dev team. The graphics look nice. Looks like it's AAA.
It had like one of the lead producers from like Grand Theft Auto games from GTA 3 all the way up through 5. He was like one of the senior producers. So you're like, that's some name recognition right there. Like this isn't going to be bad. It's got to be at least competent, right?
So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll check this out. Right, this is cool. And then the red flags started to pop up as we got closer to release. And then the game released, and it's, I mean, to put it mildly, it's rough. It's a rough game. The entire design around it It starts off actually decent. Like there's okay cutscenes, good animation, voice actors and stuff like that, all doing really good work, right? Like in that respect, it's like, oh, this is actually halfway okay. But then you get into the gameplay and you're like, woof, woof.
Yeah.
So when you shoot the weapons, it's third person.
Okay.
The bullets that fly across the screen are JPEGs, I think. So it does like kind of like flashes, and then like there's like a bullet that you can see like a tracer, and then it appears and then it disappears. They don't see like a trail, if that makes any sense.
Okay. So you're I'm not fully understand. I have watched gameplay clips of it, but I don't know if I noticed what you're talking about.
It's a really small thing, but it was like that was kind of like where I was like, oh no, this is okay. This is where we're at.
So they don't have like a trailing effect. You just see.
Yeah, it doesn't like zip across the screen. It's just it flashes like a line on the screen of like a bullet, and then it disappears. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's weird. Like a kind of a hit scan type thing or something.
Well, kind of. Yeah. So, it is. I should. The entire game is an open world linear game.
Mm-hmm. Narrative.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Narrative.
Kind of a cyberpunky Far Cry.
Actually, not even distant future. Very near future. They clearly were inspired by recent events and recent trends in gaming and also in technology like AI and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And you follow the main protagonist. I believe his name is Jacob Diaz, and he is a military individual. I can't remember what position he was in.
Drone operator.
Drone operator. But he has this thing called the MindsEye that he has on the back of his neck, back of his ear, and no one knows how he got it and why he got it. But something goes really bad at the very beginning. I don't want to spoil it. Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter if I spoil it, right? But anyways, so it follows him in an open world linear game. And what I mean by open world is like, holy cow, there's all these places you can go. You can't go there. Yeah. You follow the route. And if you try to deviate from the route, it says mission failed and you have to start over, usually from the very beginning. So it railroads
from the beginning of what? The mission?
Yeah, from the beginning of the mission. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If you just go too far to the left or something.
Yeah, so if you go off the beaten path, or if you usually you'll be following someone.
Does it at least give you a countdown timer, like get back to the mission area?
So like for like a car chase, right? Like the car will get too far ahead of you, and then it will just fail you. Yeah. Gotcha, stuff like that.
Cool.
But it's basically just going from mission to mission in an open world that isn't actually open world. Yeah. They did tell me when I was getting ready that eventually the game will open up to be open world. And they plan on having like a lot more ideas to come to this title. I don't know if that will actually come to fruition because of the reception of the game hasn't been glowing. I think
no one's going to buy it. Dev team's getting fired tomorrow, sadly, but that's probably what's going to happen, right?
Unfortunately, yes. Because you're right. It's not doing well. And then the mission structures are really basic. It's just basically you enter into a room or a building and you third person people down with headshots. Some of the NPCs will literally just run at you. Some of them will, hide behind cars, I guess, but it's like pretty much your barest bog standard combat. Mm-hmm. They do kind of mix it up every once in a while. Well, you'll be like, I have to follow someone in a drone. And that's actually kind of like, decent. But it is just a very...
That sucks.
They're
going to come out with a what went wrong piece on this game. Did you read the recent one on like one of the Dragon Age games? Where
I did, yeah.
They were just talking about how it was going to be this, and then marketing was like, live service games are the latest thing. So then they're like, delete everything, make it a live service, and then later they're like, oh no, live service is failing. Go back to the other thing, but we don't have the budget anymore to like let you rebuild the game. So just try and fix your current thing into the new. Yeah. So when those stories come out, you go, the fact that this game was actually even playable, you're like, that's a miracle on the devs to like sort of get it to that state. And I wonder what the story behind MindsEye is going to be, because clearly they had a budget. They had some pretty big names on there that signed on for something, but who knows who was actually in control. A major pivot in the studio at some point could absolutely obliterate them. Switching engines halfway through the project, who knows? Some crazy thing that just like absolutely derailed everything. I'm sure is in there.
I wish the devs the best. I really do. I don't want to, slam them because I'm sure that it was probably rush out the door at the end if I had to take a guess.
Yeah.
I had fun playing and streaming it. It was actually a really fun streaming game because it was just chaos and all of a sudden an explosion would happen on the side. And you're like, what was that? And no one acknowledges it. It's like, okie dokie.
I did watching clips of it is very great because there's a lot of driving in the game and the driving physics are jank. And so
they're actually the driving physics are not actually jank. If I want to give one praise, it actually felt okay to drive in the game. Yeah. It may have looked jank as like a spectator, but
how much
there were
did you
some
crash,
things that made it janky.
I should say.
What's that?
Crash your vehicle, like smash into something. Or
oh, yeah. You can crash your vehicle.
I just saw a lot of clips of like the vehicle effects. Getting like launched up onto buildings. And
okay. Yeah.
Stuff.
That never happened to me.
Okay.
The problem with those compilation videos is that they're compilations, right?
Yes.
And it gives you a sense that things are worse than they are. They're not. It's not that bad. At least it wasn't for me.
I got Battlefielded. This is when 2042 launched, and all the like meme channels were putting out their compilation videos, and they're like, "Look how insanely catastrophic 2042 is." And I'm like, I've never seen like that. And then you look at the clips, and you're like, oh, it all came from Reddit. People are just compiling it together.
Correct.
So
yeah.
I had that
did not
inside
experience that.
Okay, cool. It's good to get your insider perspective on that because the internet lives to make things to exacerbate things, right? Make them look worse than they actually are.
Because I saw there some people are reporting really bad optimization issues. I didn't have any of those problems at all.
Mm-hmm.
I watched an IGN review, and there was moments where he was like stuttering like crazy, and I was like, thank God I didn't have that problem.
Yeah.
Granted, I only played for 4 hours. They only wanted me to play 4 hours, and they're like, okay, no more because spoilers are after this. I'm like, a little bit of red flag. But fair enough. I'll respect their wishes.
Yeah.
And so but I actually genuinely had a good time.
It's a good excuse, actually. I'm going to totally use that with my game. Be like, just don't play more than 60 minutes. In fact, when you get to mission 5, do not
continue on. After that, it's just a mess. Yeah.
Everything else is just as good as the first 60 minutes. Trust me. Don't play any further.
It's not a vertical slice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so it could be that things get derailed later on. I don't know because I only played for 4 hours.
Yeah. Well, we did chat a lot about Dune in the last podcast, I believe. I just wanted to bring it back up and sort of ask you a few questions about it because I haven't played it yet. Been watching videos. People look like they're having a blast in it, like creating their little org bases and clan bases, whatever they are. The player count seems to be going up steadily. Like players
actually up. Damn. Okay.
Well, it might be kind of in correlation to like there's been 2 waves, right? Where it's the early access and then the later people. So, and with an MMO, a huge amount of those games are like, hey, you got to play like 80 hours.
It's 138,000 right now. That's insane.
Well, it peaked at like 190 or something like that.
That's nuts.
Like yesterday or something.
Yeah.
So the player count's doing really well, and I just kind of wanted to get your take on it because I think we both jumped into that Amazon MMO when it dropped, New Worlds.
New World, yeah.
And I know that Dune isn't a traditional MMO per se.
Correct, yeah.
But New World didn't quite have the lasting power that maybe we were hoping it would. I think it's still around. I think people are still playing it, but
it had, I think, an expansion or 2.
Yeah, but it certainly wasn't like the second coming of WoW or something like that.
It doesn't have the million concurrent that it had at launch.
Yeah. So I guess my question to you is, since you've been playing it a bunch, like what's your take on its longevity? Do you think everybody's just going to plateau and then that'll be it for Dune? Yeah. Okay.
I do. But I think in the here and the now, it's really fun. I think that it will be around for a while. I think it'll actually be able to maintain its player base because I think that they've got systems in there I haven't gotten to the end game really, like the actual like deep desert yet, because it's grind. The game is grind. But I do think they've got systems to keep it fresh every single. So I think each week the deep desert completely resets, entirely, like it's brand new.
Yeah.
Which is like their end game loop, right? And so you
It
need
is
to
kind of
have
cool,
people go
to
out
be
and
honest.
yeah, you need to have people go out and survey so that they can find where the good resources are. You can then sell those maps on the market if you wanted to other players, so they can just so they don't have to worry about that and they can just get the scouting. They then have PvP, PvE in there. You will also have like there's this war between the two factions kind of where you need to like get votes. Not entirely sure how that works, but if you successfully win that week, you get like bonuses for your side, right? And also because, and this is the one thing I think that some people might not like, but also I think will add longevity, is the end game vehicles are incredibly expensive to make.
Wow.
And so like if you lose that end game ornithopter, that transport, whatever, you've lost a lot of resources, a lot of time, right? And so on the one hand that sucks, but on the other hand it adds stakes, right?
I like that. That was always my favorite part of games like Eve Online, where you're just like, if I lose this battleship, dude, that's like a month or two of grinding, you know?
Well, it won't be that much, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Eve was like one of the highest stake games I ever played. And
yeah,
that's kind of their like claim to fame, is sort of like, you want a hardcore game? You play this.
Millions of dollars were just lost in this one battle. Like actual money was lost. Yeah.
I did see a thing where like ornithopter squishing was becoming a thing.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Yeah. I was watching some streamers. I'm like, I don't know if that was their intended mechanic for PvP.
Apparently the
PvP
devs are patching it or something like that.
Okay.
They're like, crap, people are breaking the game, crap.
Yeah. Because it is hard to, from what my understanding, it's kind of hard to kill people because you've got these shields, right? And everyone has a shield. And so there's also compound that with a movement. You've got like grapple hooks. You've got like crazy warp speed where you can like run across the map. And then you've got this like kind of like jump pack, like a jetpack almost, but it's not actually a jetpack, where if you use them in tandem, where if you run and at the end of the run, you jump and then use this, you just soar across the map.
Yeah.
Like you just fly like, you know, literally hundreds of meters.
Yeah.
And if you're in a firefight and someone just, they're now across the map, like good luck actually taking them out, you know, with a weapon. So
sure.
I don't know how much of the PvP is actually on the ground. It's more of like air combat, surprisingly, from the little that I've seen so far.
Okay. Well, it's cool to get your take on it. I'm always just curious about how an MMO is going to fare in the modern gaming market, and it sounds
there's something about it though.
Yeah,
it's got to be the grind. There's just they've done a good job, and everything's seamless. It's just you're just in this world, and you're just it's like, all right, I'm gonna go out and get some aluminum now, and then you go in and get some aluminum.
If you can make that grind fun, or just have like a little bit of it that's just kind of addicting, you know, it's like the New World thing where chopping trees, I just found that really enjoyable. You're just like, oh, I get to get an upgraded tree chopping ability, and now I can chop iron bark or whatever kind of tree it is, you know? It was just fun. I don't know. And then you like are clearing a forest, and you're like, I cleared that whole forest back there. I got all that chopping experience.
It also gives you a good sense of progression too, because you start off just on foot, and then by the end you're flying around. What would normally have taken you, 30 minutes to get from point A to point B is now taking you like 5 minutes, right? Like, so it's got a nice progression through and through. And then I think on top of it, it's got like almost exotic like weapons and stuff that you can find and you can craft. And those add a little bit more flavor to it. So it's like you can get your basic standard stuff, but then if you get lucky, you might find a blueprint that will allow you to make something that's, got some sort of unique aspect to it, like where it will double shot or it will pierce through the enemy shields, right? Stuff like that to really, dare I say, spice up the gameplay.
Oh, snap.
God, I'm old and I'm lame.
Yeah. No. I like it. That sounds cool. It seems like piercing shields would completely disrupt the PvP meta. So the one that I've got in particular, the shots are slow and you only get 2 of them and you have to reload after that. So you're left vulnerable. So it's better for PvE so far. Gotcha. Okay.
At
It's
least I
the
would imagine.
future. Our guns can shoot 2 bullets before they need to reload. And the bullets go at the speed of somebody throwing a baseball. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool. I feel like we dive into AI just about every podcast, but
What happened this week?
there's an interesting story that's not directly in the video game world, but it certainly will affect a lot of games that are probably being made right now and decide the future of kind of AI in video games to a degree, at least in one aspect. So I'll give it a little bit of preamble. Last year, New York Times sued OpenAI because they're building their language model off of the internet, and admittedly a huge portion of that was New York Times written articles, and they're like, you're basically just mass plagiarizing all of our journalists. And so that was the premise for their lawsuit, and that's, I believe, still ongoing. They haven't decided, and obviously the outcome of that lawsuit could have sweeping ramifications on tons of AI models and stuff. Disney and Universal have teamed up to sue Midjourney. Midjourney is sort of a lesser known AI image gen software that does use the kind of, I think it uses one of OpenAI's services or something to do image gen, but it has its own spin on it. And they're pretty good in terms of what they can produce and stuff. And so they've made a name for themselves. The theory that why Disney and Universal are going after Midjourney and not, say, like OpenAI or one of the bigger AI companies is that it'd be easier to beat Midjourney because they're a smaller company.
And then that can set precedent for the rest.
Exactly. So that might set the precedent. So Midjourney has more or less been, I think they're the company that got caught kind of lying, where they said, we're not training our image gen off of other people. They're all training their image gen off of other people. There's no doubt about it, but they were basically
all of
like,
them are.
yeah, but somebody leaked their artist portfolio that they were using to train their models.
Yeah.
And it was like all these artists that were like, yeah, we never got contacted by Midjourney. What the heck is this? So like clearly it was just like a list of like thousands of artists that were the primary people as plagiarizing stuff. And obviously then Disney and Universal, Disney owns Star Wars, right? Anytime there's an AI image of Yoda or something, they're like, hey man, like what's going on? That's just like plagiarizing our IP to a degree.
Right.
So the outcome of this lawsuit is going to could have big ramifications on whether or not we can use AI image gen in commercial products, or if we're going to do it, if we need to, if these image gen software companies need to actually track who they're training off of, which seems like almost an impossible task.
Right.
And then pay those people percentages.
Right.
Like it just gums up everything, right? It just gets insane.
As it should gum up everything. Like,
yeah. I'm not advocating for for OpenAI or Midjourney in this case. I think there's a lot of problems with it, and it really is probably one of the largest cases of like mass plagiarism ever. But it's just sort of, they're like, no, it's all happening inside this big computer and the algorithm. It's not
a lot.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of these companies are doing what companies do, where they will be like, this is just the price of doing business. We know we're going to get caught. We know there's going to be ramifications, but we're going to make so much more money off of it that it'll just be the cost of doing business, which is super gross. But that's kind of what it feels like. It's like, we could have gone the actual legit route and done it, but we'll just take there's a, $500 million fine, but we've made, $50 billion off of this or what have you. Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, and we'll see what happens.
Most companies take the better to ask for forgiveness approach to anything, especially when it doesn't really have a good legal framework for it to begin with, because the law is slow at catching up to the rapid tech industry. So nothing's quite ready for it yet, but there's a huge amount of game companies right now that are using AI stuff for game development. But it's such a broad term that it's like they might be using it, but it's not like they're using it just for
graphics. I think that's usually where the conversation goes. It could improve their pipeline. It could make their life easier, from a software development part. It's not that they're just, we're stealing.
Oh, for
images.
sure.
Yeah.
And like, for example, when they use the software to do text to speech type stuff, where they're like, instead of hiring a voice actor, well, a lot of those voice models are on people that were paid to train their voices for the software or whatever. So depending on what software you're using, a lot of them are paying the artists and all that. But of course, then there's that argument of like, yeah, those artists are just taking the money because like they're out of voice work, at this point. And I think they just ended the voice actor strike like a little while ago, but basically their jobs are more affected than I think anybody in terms of the right here, right now, because the voice gen software has been
gotten really good.
It's gotten really good, really fast, and all of a sudden, like 50%, 70% of their work is drying up, and you're like, oh god, that's
really scary.
Yep, super scary. And we don't really have any good contingency plans in for the workforce, But thus is the crazy mentality of just progressing forward at all costs, right?
And I mean, it could come from, I doubt it, but it could come from players and consumers was like, no. I don't want to have AI Ben Star. I want to have the Ben Star in my game, right? He's a voice actor. He's kind of blown up recently. So yeah, it's like, no, I don't want no, I don't want this AI voice actor. I want the real deal, right? Hire the person.
Yeah.
Take the extra step.
Yeah. So this lawsuit's probably going to go on for a long time.
Probably.
The outcome of it could either lead to a universal decision on how it's being used, or it could just set the tone for a much bigger lawsuit against much bigger AI companies. And then, of course, it sets this weird idea of going, okay, well, if we pass the laws in the US or Europe, that doesn't stop other countries from plagiarizing who don't respect international IP law and stuff like that, which are quite a few countries that just don't believe in the same rule sets. So then if we go, okay, that's it, we're not going to do it over here. And then you go, okay, well, if I get something built in that country over there, they can do it way cheaper because they don't have any AI laws and all this other stuff. And so now it might even put us at a significant workforce disadvantage against other countries who are not respecting the AI regulations. So,
and all of a sudden it just got way more complicated for my pay grade because I'm dumb.
Well, I'm just saying it's a can of worms, right? You're like, okay, doing the right thing might screw us in the long run anyway, right? It's not, it's just not simple. It's not straightforward. But I think it's interesting. There's multiple lawsuits now against major AI companies handling huge things, whether it's writing plagiarism or image plagiarism, and then Voice Actor Guild was on a strike recently because of all this stuff. So it's just, I don't know, man. It's getting nuts out there. I don't know what the future's going to look like.
Yeah.
I
hear you.
Borderlands, $70.
Wait, it's not $80?
No. Do you remember like Randy Pitchford, like when people were like $80
I'm well aware. Yeah.
So,
you can figure out how to make the $80. Get Scrubs if you're a true fan.
Yeah. Boy, that guy is just, he really needs to delete his social media account and like just have the general PR person post the bland corporate messages for you, because he's not doing them any favors. There was a theory that people said he made all this, he just stoked the fires to get some publicity. And then they're like, it's $70. I never said it was going to be 80 or something like that.
I mean, okay.
I don't know if I buy that theory. I'm just saying it is a theory. I don't particularly care too much about Borderlands as a franchise. I never really got into it, but I know it's huge. People are looking forward to it. And I think we're going to start seeing these AAA, quadruple A, quote unquote, games hitting these higher price tiers. We're all anticipating GTA 6 to be $100 more. Like they can really charge a lot for that game. So it'll be.
They could charge a lot. The thing is would they make more money charging $100 for Grand Theft Auto? That's the big question that they're going to ask themselves. And then they
Sure.
also don't want to limit. They don't want to limit their player base because where they make the real money is online. So
That is true. Well, do you think it's going to launch with online ready to go?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because GTA 5's online didn't kind of ramp up until much later, I believe.
But they also, because if they make it $100, right, and they, there'll be millions of people that will buy it for $100, right?
Yeah.
Like there'll be millions. But if they could sell another, maybe not double that, if they sold it at the regular $70, then they've cut themselves out from that, that potential market that could then spend money on the.
So
live
why
service
not just
aspect
lower
of
the
it.
price later, right?
I mean, they could for like sales. Yeah, they could.
Well, I'm just
Absolutely.
saying, just launch the game for. Being devil's advocate here is like, okay, if you know you're going to get that many sales at $100 price point or more, you sell it for that for like 6 months,
So
a year.
the reason
and then
why
you
I
just
push back
off.
on the whole reason why I push back on it is that we've seen like Rockstar is Rockstar.
Mm-hmm.
They are, dare I say, rock stars in the game industry.
Sure.
And they didn't make Red Dead Redemption 2 $80-$90 when it came out, right? And people were super stoked for that. CD Projekt Red didn't make Cyberpunk what it was, and people were super stoked for that. So it's because they don't want to go against the market because they're these giant companies. They would have done it by now if they thought they could get away with it, right? That's the point I'm trying to make.
That is true. Very true. No, it's a good point, and I think they can sell en masse, right? Where they're like,
Right.
if we were only selling a million copies of this game total, we'd have to charge a lot more due to the production costs. But since we're
But
going
it
to
does
sell,
feel like we're in different times, which I do agree could be like, everyone's testing the waters of how much more money we can sell our games for.
Yeah.
Right? So
there's no rule
it's up in
about
the
how
air.
much you can charge for a game.
Nope, none at
No
all.
rules out there. I mean, maybe there are. I actually don't know.
I don't think there are.
There's probably some sort of competition law in some country that's like, you can't charge this much.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
Well, it's good to hear that. It's good to hear that Borderlands is going to be 70 because, I mean, inflation and all that. I wouldn't have been surprised if it was 80, but I'm glad to hear that they're not bumping it up and following the trend because that would have sucked. I know it's only extra $10, but that would have been unfortunate because it does actually look like a solid game. The little bit that I've seen from the gameplay reveals, like, oh, this actually looks fluid. It looks cool. Like it looks solid. So
yeah.
would have sucked if they kind of shot themselves in the foot by being greedy.
I honestly didn't realize how big the Borderlands franchise had become.
It was big.
Like when they announced the Borderlands movie, I was like, what? This game?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Though granted, the movie flopped.
Yeah. I didn't see it, but I did hear it was terrible.
Yeah. Everyone was like really old.
In the
They
film.
got like a bunch of older actors, right?
Yeah,
Playing
yeah.
characters that I think originally are not old.
Well, dude, I was talking about this with my wife the other day because we're excited for the F1 movie.
Yeah, it looks good.
Oh, maybe I was talking about it with you also, but
I mean, I am your wife, so yeah.
my work wife.
Yeah.
Were we having the conversation about there not being any more superstars or whatever like that? Or it was like,
I've talked about that before. I
okay,
don't know
no,
what it
I was
with you.
chatting with my wife about this because she's going, yeah, but Brad Pitt's like 60 whatever now, and he's playing a driver who's supposed to be like 50 or something like that in the movie, and it's like, is that the best they could get for this? And I went like, who else is going to put butts in seats? And we kind of went down like this long list of like potentials, and I was like, yeah, like superstars feel like they're kind of a dying breed in the movie industry right now. So
it's been like that for a while.
Yeah.
A-list celebrities have kind of died down. You've got they still exist. Robert Downey,
Sure.
Tom Cruise.
But you're
right?
talking
Brad
about old
Pitt.
people now. They're old.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you say, oh, like everybody in this movie is old, it's like, yeah, they had the budget to pull in all these superstars, and they're all older people. We're not cranking them out like we used to. So it is interesting, but yeah, I had to think on it for a little bit, and I was like, at the end of the conversation, I was like, I think, like, I don't know, Ryan Gosling maybe is the only other person they could have pulled in with maybe that kind of power, but he was probably, preoccupied doing a Star Wars movie or whatever.
But there are younger ones, but you're right. I don't think the I think the era of superstar, mega, triple A,
Yeah.
it is going away. And I think it's also because of the streaming services. I think that's contributed to it too.
Yeah. Then again, I guess some actors blow up on streaming too. It's like, what's the Anya Taylor-Joy or whatever? She got huge, and it was from the first thing I saw her in was the Queen's Gambit or whatever, that chess show.
I'd consider her an A-list celebrity if you want to hear them, because that kind of feels gross. You know, you're an A-lister, you're a B-lister,
you're an influencer. You're a C.
Why are you even here? I hate that word so much.
You're an influencer. You use your platform to influence people.
I hate that. I hate that word so much.
It's terrible. It really is terrible. Yeah, I am looking forward to that F1 movie though. Oh man.
It does look really cool. It looks solid.
Yeah.
It's made by a director who's done some other good stuff too, which is exciting.
Top Gun 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another excellent movie with another
that
superstar.
movie is so hype when he's flying and he's showing off without getting into spoilers, right? In like the training. Oh my God. It's one of the hypest things I've seen in a minute.
Well, and it's just, don't like practical effects make everything feel so much better. Where like, I know like obviously that movie wasn't like 100% shot with practical effects. They're shooting down airplanes with missiles. Like they're not just like blowing up planes, but
right.
The fact that for almost, I think all of the shots where the actors are in a cockpit, they're actually in the jet, actually getting slammed into their seat with like crazy G-forces. And you're like,
there's a scene where one of the actors flies up in the cockpit because he wasn't secured enough, and he hits the top and he goes, oh, and they kept it in the film, and that's there because he's flying. Like, well, he's not flying, but he's in the seat.
Yeah.
He's in the moment, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is cool.
Boy, you don't want to screw up your buckling in one of those things, dude.
No, you do not. Yeah.
Have you seen the videos where they do the like, here's the hot chick in the back seat of an F-18 taking off, and then they like hit her with like 9 Gs, and her face just turns into like Play-Doh.
Oh, yeah.
They're really funny.
No one looks attractive at 9 Gs.
No. Well, I mean, it actually might, if you're really old, it might kind of like smooth you out a bit, you know?
Maybe, yeah.
Get some of those wrinkles.
I don't know if you're surviving the 9 Gs though, if you're really old.
It's yeah. It was like that scene in The Expanse when the old senator is like in the spaceship and they're hitting her with like the G-forces. And they're like, like, what do you want? Like, we're gonna get hit with a missile if we don't like crank the G's right now. We gotta outrun this missile. And she's just like dying in the back. And they're like,
well, what's great about that is that they can juice themselves to make themselves more so they survive the G-forces.
Yeah.
But like the juice that they put into their body can like straight up just kill them.
Yeah.
Like just they basically are like, all right, flip a coin, here we go, and then they just go for it. Yeah, which does have ramifications in the show.
Yeah. I think they explained it in the book pretty well, where it was like there was just like the chances of you having like like a seizure or like some sort of like clot in your brain or something form from these like intense G's. They're like, yeah, the risk rate goes up massively under these high G maneuvers, but like that's just what you do if you're in the Navy that has to do high G maneuvers all the time. You're just like, yeah, we could die, you know? And you're just like, jeez.
Yeah, it's the reason why we're never probably going to get like Gundams and mechs, you know, with human pilots, because we can't handle the G-forces. It's just too much.
Yeah. I will say though, I mean, like racers, they're doing like I think between 5 and 7 Gs, you know, in like turns, and that's for like an hour plus long race, you know, where they're just like, When they do workouts, it's just neck workouts. It's just like 90% neck, so that they can like hold their heads up while they're racing. You're like, oh my God.
And keep it straight.
Yeah.
So they can see.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah, good movies. Oh, excited for F1 though, man. I think it's going to be fun. I was reading an article recently on...
Oh, reading. It's good.
I was reading. I do it from time to time. Dude, I read so many kids' books. Like, it's insane. Like, how many kids' books.
It's because you're a good dad.
We're reading these books called The Dragon Masters, Matt. It's like fantasy, kids training their dragons and whatever.
Yeah.
It is really poorly written. And I'm not I'm not saying like, oh, it's basic, because obviously it's a children's book
For kids, right?
and
It's
I
just
read
really badly.
yeah. Like every line is like Drake said or Anya said, and I'm just like, there's 7 characters in a conversation, and every single time some of them is like, oh, said Bill, and you're just like, dear God, I'm dying right now, I can't. And it's like 30 pages of that, and the kids are riveted, so I got to read all these
Yeah.
books, but I'm just like, just write better, just write it better.
Yeah.
It's
That's
tough.
too bad.
Yeah.
But at least they're enjoying it. That's what matters.
Yeah. I was going to say something. Oh, yeah. I read a thing that was not a children's book, an article that was about the Witcher 3 game design. And it kind of made me feel good, because we've been having discussions internally with my game project of like project management. Should we organize more, or just kind of seat of the pants and just like create these fast, loose design docs and just go for it and see what happens? Or do we try and overthink everything and make sure we avoid as many pitfalls as yeah. There's different approaches to it. And so this article about The Witcher 3, and I was talking about the mission system and like writing out the missions and the story and all that. And it sounds so chaotic, where they were just like, just get as much stuff into the game as quickly as possible before we ship. And like, that was like their approach to it. And it wasn't like this, we're going to have mission A, B, C, and D, and then the final mission, and then it'll be over. So here's the time allotment for each thing, and blah, blah. They're just like, here's a mission idea. Cool. Let's do that. Here's a mission idea. Cool. Let's do it. And that's like how they did
wild.
it. Yeah.
And the fact that it works so well is insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's what I liked about it is you're like, yeah, if you like tried to over-engineer it, you might have just ended up with a very formulaic experience or something that maybe didn't have quite as much personality, uniqueness to it, unpredictability, maybe. I don't know. Like, there's sometimes the chaos of it, or just letting things just flow.
Or I mean, yes, I see what you're saying, but it could also lead to horrible pacing and issues in that respect. So
I don't think you can apply the philosophy to every part of game development. I think maybe within, like, if you're saying, okay, well, we're going to have hundreds of quests in this game, so maybe it could apply to that, where you're like, we just need a lot of fun quests in different areas, so just write them and get them in the game, as opposed to having a really well laid out foundation for that plan.
It could be that the managers actually were doing a good job of managing and the director was able to be like, okay, we've got all this puzzle, right? All these puzzle pieces with all these different quests. Let me put them on the board so that it works well, right? And it could just be they had really great directive at the top down.
Yeah, for sure. The same plan could have been an absolute disaster with different managerial skills, right?
I can't remember what content creator said this, but they were harping on games. I found it really funny.
A content creator harping on games? Who is this person?
Harping on games because, like how people say like Ubisoft and EA, they just do it for the money, right? They just do it for the money. Yeah. They've got no soul, right? Why don't they just make games because they're passionate about it? And then Pal World comes along, and Pal World comes out and says, "No, we made this game because we thought it would like people would like it, and like we thought it would sell really well." Yeah. And they're like, "That's brilliant!" I'm like, "You can't have it both ways. What do you mean? Yeah. Stop! You God damn it! Stop!"
Well, it's really that mentality also is super important in the indie dev scene too, right? Because if you fail as an indie dev starting up, that's it. That was your shot.
Right. No. Yeah.
So they're very keyed into like what the market is looking at.
What they think will sell well. Yeah.
I was talking to an indie dev last week, and he was saying like his game plan for his project is like he's going to launch it. His new plan is to get to a demo phase as fast as possible, see what the reception to the demo is. And if it doesn't get good reception, he's either going to bail from the project entirely and cut his losses, or just super scope down the goals of the project to like a really simple thing and just launch it and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And like, this is a small time dev, one dude with like a few contractors or something like that. And Yeah, they got to think
And
like
that's
that.
probably the smart thing to do.
Yeah, it sucks because it's less romantic, but at the end of the day, they're also still working on projects that they're passionate about. They're not just like,
Right.
oh, this is going to make the most money. They're like, what has a good chance of success that I'm also really interested in? And that's usually what most people do.
The point I was trying to make was twofold. The one is YouTubers or content creators will just say things because it fits a narrative, and you can any narrative you want, you can like work into like, oh
Sure.
yeah, of course. Why didn't all games do it this way? It's like, well, because you just said the other games that were doing that were bad, but now you're saying this one is good because of the same philosophy that you said was bad. So that I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy because I find it funny.
Yeah.
The second thing is that even though that might be hypocritical, it actually does apply because we live in a world is full of great. Like, yeah, it's okay for companies to want to try to make something that they think is going to sell. That doesn't mean it's completely devoid of inspiration and, creativity. But, it's almost as if you can't just pigeonhole every single project into this project was successful because of this reason. It's like, no, it's probably a lot of reasons, not just because they, went this direction with it. That was kind of the point I was trying to make. Two points.
Yep. And I'm sure that we, and I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that we've both played and thoroughly enjoyed games that were driven by kind of different founding principles as well, where it's like, this was an indie game that was pure passion and it's great and I love it. And then you're like, this is a big corporate AAA game that was very calculated and methodical. And guess what? It's also great and I love it.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't mean that you have to have bad products. It's just, it's easy to root for one, the underdog, and two, for the team that's like clearly, visibly passionate about what they're doing versus a talking head corporate dude that comes out on stage and has his bullet points and his tight jeans and his polished shoes, and he's just like, this year we're going to redefine. And you're like, all right. And then maybe the game's good. Maybe it's not. It just sucks hearing it through that lens of corporate money world.
Yeah. Money.
Yeah. Because the game that we're looking forward to, Battlefield 6, it doesn't get much more corporate than that.
Nope. Nope.
And basically that whole fan base around that project is like, don't do the corporate thing. They're all just like yelling. And then the corporation's like, maybe what about this corporate thing?
What if we did this?
Yeah. What about if we're just going to have some of this? And then the fan base goes, no, stop. And they keep trying to do it. But, you don't get the mega games without the corporations ultimately, right?
You don't. Yeah.
You get indie games that can have runaway hits, but they're trying to turn a game that got way bigger than it was intended to be at launch into a much bigger game is way harder than designing a bigger game from the ground up, So
yeah,
we're just not going to get those mega games without the mega corporations. It's just sort of the way it is.
And well, you also get games like Claire Obscure Expedition 33, where you have people saying like, well, why don't game devs just do that? It's like, well, it's because it's special for a reason, right? Like, not every game can do it because it's special. That's what makes it special.
Yeah. Well, it's like
if everyone could do it, then everyone would do it.
And then we've brought this up before too, is like Baldur's Gate 3. The devs said like, this is kind of a one-off because the work and craziness involved in the fact that they almost went under, like I think a few times trying to make it. They're like, this isn't going to happen again, guys. Like the fact that it even happened in the first place is like a miracle. So they're just like, enjoy it. Mm-hmm. We got lucky, you don't expect I think they even said like, do not judge other fantasy RPGs against our narrative system because it's not fair. Like, it's just not fair. And you probably don't want other fantasy RPGs to try and hit this narrative level other than the new Fable game that has to do everything.
Plant an acorn, get a tree.
Yeah. Do you think Peter Molyneux's involved in the new Fable?
I have no idea.
I forgot what his studio is, like Lion's
not a clue.
Head Studio or something like that. Lion's Gate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not a clue.
Yeah. I am excited about that one though.
Yeah, it should be fun.
I just have a weird spot. I have a spot in my heart for Fable because it does have an aesthetic and art style to it that does feel different than other fantasy games. It's more tongue-in-cheek and more fable-y in a sense, where it has that kind of classic children's story fable vibe to it and art style to it. And so when you play it, you just feel like you're in that type of fantasy world as opposed to dark fantasy or like hardcore Lord of the Rings fantasy or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
It's just more fun. You watch any good movies? Read any good books?
I've just been reading. Just all I've been doing is reading.
Hey, that's good. Yeah. You got back into it. What are you reading?
I did. When in Truth Still, I'm 1,000 pages in now, and I got 300 more to go.
Yeah. You only have a novel left, Matt.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. It's like I got about 350 pages, and that's basically another book.
Yeah. Natalie just finished the third book.
Nice.
Yeah. And so she's taking her Sanderson break now.
It's probably smart because it can get overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of these novels, I'm just like, how do you write that much stuff? It just seems purely insane.
Yep. The man wrote 5 books over lockdown in secret alongside the normal books that he was writing and then just released them all at once, kind of all at once.
I mean, it does, like, it's funny because on one hand, I'm like, this is crazy. Does this guy have any sort of work-life balance? But on the other hand,
he does.
Yeah. He's got like a family and everything, right? Like,
yeah. Well, he basically blocks everything off. Like, this time is for family. This time is so. Yeah. He does. Yeah.
It's cool, and he's doing his dream, right? Like, obviously, like he's passionate about it, and
he said that the way that he relaxes is by writing. He likes to try, like, short stories. He'll just be like, build a world. That's what he does for fun. He legitimately just enjoys. It's like, dude, that's sick. Like, you're perfect.
I'm so envious of that career because it truly is like a one-man show to a degree. Like, sure, editor, publisher, blah, 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 all that stuff. But you're still like the only person that's needed to create this universe to a degree. You're like, that's cool, man. Like, that's power right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Oh, that's dope. I've been watching a few things. We thought it'd be fun to watch Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with the kids. The original.
How'd that go? Oh.
Yeah.
How did the Oompa Loompa boat scene go?
Yeah. That's where we stopped, actually.
That scene scared the crap out of little Timio over here.
Yeah. So I kind of forgot how creepy some of it was, and the kids freaked out when the girl, shortly after the boat scene, they were all worked up from that, turns into the blueberry, and then the Oompa Loompas roll her away, and they're just like, what the heck? Like, are these people dying? And I was like, it's not really well explained if they survive or die. So
she's dead.
Yeah, and it's very fun. Like, a lot of the humor is very much intended for the adults, and like I'm laughing at it. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty funny. Like, and then the kids are like terrified. So yeah, we pivoted from that. And,
probably smart.
Yeah, it is funny though, seeing like what a G-rated film from the 70s is compared to nowadays.
The Timothy Chalamet one was decent. I watched that. I thought that was actually pretty good.
Okay. We'll check that one out.
That one I would say is more kid appropriate.
Okay. I swore it off after the Johnny Depp version, and I was like, ugh. Like,
okay.
Do you remember that one?
I did not see that one, but
yeah, that one.
Was it Johnny Depp?
Yeah, Johnny Depp did Willy Wonka.
Yes, you're right.
Tim Burton directed it. And it was just weird and creepy, as one would expect.
The Timothy one was more like whimsical.
Okay, cool. Well, good suggestion. Maybe we'll try that one next. We were on a fantasy kick, so we went back and watched the D&D movie, which I got to say, great the second time around as well. Enjoyed it a lot in the theater. And I hope they make a new one. I think that movie had too many superstars. There's another superstar for you, Chris Pine, right? That guy can carry a movie.
He can.
And he carried the crap out of that movie, and it was great. I
thought the other actors did a good job.
Yeah,
but he was definitely the main focus. Yeah,
you're right. That's not fair. There was a lot of really good other actors, and Hugh Grant was a fantastic villain. I hope they make another one, man, because there's
rumors that they might be, but
yeah,
Nothing in stone.
it's super humor heavy, but I
Yep.
understand why, because they kind of, you got to get an audience in there that's not a bunch, you got to get people beyond just the fantasy nerds in to see that movie. And the way to do that is with Chris Pine as the star and tons of humor so that everybody's just laughing the whole way through, as opposed to like, and now we must quest for the sacred stone, you know, and you're just like,
We must find the stone.
yeah. There's always a stone or a sword or talisman or something, you know.
Yeah, it's magic.
Yeah.
It makes it fun.
It's the core fantasy. Yeah. A Horcrux. It's a good
I
one.
love the movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the few movies I've purchased, not because I wanted to, but because I saw it online and I was like, oh, I could either rent it for $20 or I could buy it for $24. I'm like, shove it up your ass, Amazon. I'm buying
Yeah.
it. I know that's what you want, but cool, I'll spend the extra $4.
The kids are screwing me on the rental situation right now, because we'll rent a movie for them
Yeah.
to watch. They'll be like, I
then they
loved it.
won't.
And then like 2 weeks later, they'll be
Wanna
like,
watch
can
again.
we watch it again? I'm like, I should have just, now I'm losing money if I rent again. Now we got to buy it. Now I'm paying the rental fee and the buying fee. So now I'm like, I'm usually opting for the buy approach if it's a kid's movie, because I'm like, I don't want to get screwed.
They'll probably want to watch it again. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that's how they price out their stuff.
I feel like
too.
kids are more likely to want to watch stuff again.
Oh yeah.
And I get
sure.
that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I love that. I want that again. Right.
We've
'Cause it's
watched
new.
the Power Rangers movie on Amazon so many times, dude. Or not on Amazon, the Netflix one, which actually is pretty solid. I think I was talking about it at one point. But yeah, they just watch it so much, and then they like Power Ranger fight afterwards. But yeah,
Nice.
some of those movies just keep going and going, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna like tap out for a while you guys enjoy this for the 80th time.
Yep.
What was your on repeat movie as a kid?
I don't know. I can't think of one. I did watch a lot of Power Rangers though.
Yeah.
I had this cute little outfit, and my mom took me to a photo shoot, and I was wearing the Power Ranger, like basically pajamas, and just
Yeah. That
was
was like
adorable.
Halloween costumes for like a decade or something.
Yeah.
Somebody was always a Power Ranger, man.
of course.
Yeah. I think I definitely broke a few VHSs watching them over and over. Star Wars was on the list.
Oh damn.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't necessarily watch a lot of like movies over and over again. At least my parents maybe could tell me. The one I watched the most was Dragon Ball Z though. That was like my show. My dad would always record it because you had to back in the day.
Yeah.
And then with the VHS tape, and then we would rewind it and watch that sucker and over a bowl of SpaghettiOs.
Yeah. And then you would like memorize the commercials also, because
Yeah.
you're just like you see the same commercial 100 times because you've watched it, and you're just like, and then that marketing just gets seeded deep in your brain.
Ingrained.
Yeah. You got to go buy whatever. God, children's advertising in the 80s was wild, man. Like it was, they had to pass laws about it. It got so aggressive.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah. But I just remember all the crazy toys and micro machines and all that stuff that you're just like, oh, I gotta have it. Plastic toys. Give me.
Plastic, put it in my body.
Yeah, basically. And now we're dealing with the ramifications.
Yeah.
There's a show that I'm enjoying on Netflix called Department Q. Have you heard
I've seen
of it?
about 4 episodes of it.
Okay. I think that's
Yeah.
about how far in I am also.
It's all right.
Yeah, I like it. It's funny because it's like, you're like, oh, another detective drama. And you're like, that's what 30% of shows
It's
are.
fun though. There's something.
Yeah.
There's just because got that mystery. You've got the down and out cop or what have you. You know, they've got some problem they got to work through, and it's just
Yeah.
entertaining to watch.
I know. It's
it's
so formulaic on that sense of like the premise is formulaic.
Yeah.
And yet you still don't know who did it. You don't know who they're after. You're with them to find the clues. You like the characters. Like, it's just good, man. I get why like detective shows are legitimately about a quarter of all entertainment right now.
I will say there are parts that bug me
Sure.
a little bit. This is a small spoiler. He comes home to his son, who is sleeping with someone when he's like, in high school, which is, usually something that their parents don't want to have happen, because of reasons. And the kid comes out and he's like, right before it, he's all huffing and puffing, like, oh, my kid's I'm so mad at him. And then he just lets the kid walk out the door. And I'm like, wait, you don't even have a conversation with him? Like,
Yeah,
I know you're not like
yeah.
the best dad here, but like, damn, bro, like, you can't get all mad and then be like, all right, see you later, son.
Well, I think they're trying to show that he is a bit of a weak role model.
Yeah,
in
that's probably what they were doing, and I thought about it. But in the moment, I'm like, really? That was it? That was the scene? Is him just walking out the door? Okay.
Yeah,
That bugged me a little bit.
It is bothersome for sure. And it's that conundrum of like tough love versus, rolling over and like just trying not to start some sort of incident. And he's kind of being the weak father, the weak role model, not doing what he wants. And yeah, I think you're supposed to be annoyed by him because he's
like, what are you doing? Do your dad duties. Yeah, exactly.
He's a hugely flawed character who's like one of the smarter people on the show when it comes to being a detective. So you're like, he's great at that, but huge surprise, not so good at everything else
in other aspects of his life. Yeah.
And everybody hates him because he's such an ass.
Because he's an ass. I do like his partner though. There's something about that actor and the way that he plays it where I'm just like, you are just a comfy guy. I don't know. I just like
cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just smooth.
There's it's there's a character in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, if you ever remember that.
I have not seen that one, no.
They have like a Guatemalan camera guy for their news crew, and he's like, in my country, I was a doctor. And they're like, oh, and he never says anything, but he's like a master of everything. And it's just that like sort of, they're the immigrant, you don't know too much about their backstory, but like clearly they have a career downgrade by moving into, like in this case, the UK in Department Q. And it's just like, he's got all these skills where you're just like, what were you in your past country? You were like some
very
top
competent
level badass. And like now you're just this filing dude who can somehow do everything. So it's a great character because now you're just curious and you're like, this guy's like James Bond, basically,
Well, I haven't seen that much, but
yeah. Well, he's just kind of
take your word for it.
Yeah. No, I like it. I recommend Department Q. It's solid.
Yeah, it's fun so far.
Yeah. I mean, it could go completely off the rails. I don't know. There could be aliens in the next episode.
I hope there is.
That would be a fun twist. That would be a fun twist.
It would be.
Yeah. I like shows like that where they start off where you think you're watching a normal show and then they hit you with like a crazy premise and you're like,
I would tell you with the show I'm immediately thinking of, but it would be a massive spoiler, so I'm not going to.
Fair enough. You could tell me after the podcast.
Okay, I'll do that.
We'll spoil it for all the people watching right now. I think that's a solid spot to wrap it up. I mean, unless you want to chat about any other games. Oh, wait.
Well, I did play Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, that's true.
Siege X.
It's not a new game, but it did go. Okay, I was trying to talk to you about this before the podcast. I was saying it's free to play now, right? And you're like,
partially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you can play ranked free, but you can play their new mode, their dual front mode. I think you can play casual. I'd have to look into it. So there are things about it that are free. Yeah. But if you want to play like the ranked experience, you have to pay money for that, I believe, but I'm not dived into Siege as much as I used to.
No,
right?
I think you are right about the ranked side being pay for. And that's smart because as we all know, hackers love to take advantage of free games. When you make a game free to play, you're like, come in, hackers, come ruin the experience for everyone. And so when you put that price point behind it, there's a little bit more risk to getting your account banned. So that seems to be like the sweet balance of free, get your player base in, see if they like it. If they like it, they buy the game. And you got that price point to shelter the paying customer from the hacker a little bit more.
Yeah.
So what'd you think going back to your old stomping grounds?
It's Siege. I gotta say, there was like a little bit of nostalgia where I'm like, man, it is fun just going into a match and having a round that goes well, getting 2 kills, feeling good. Maybe one time you get a quad kill, you're like, I'm back, baby. The Siege has got a formula. I mean, it's the whole 5v5, right? Round based, It will always be fun in a lot of ways because, like, if you do have those clutch moments, it's always going to be fun. The dual front mode is okay. A little let down that it's only one map. I was kind of hoping there would be more than that.
Yeah.
It's sort of 3 maps in one because each area is like a mini map almost. Not like a mini map in the sense of like a mini map, but a small map on a larger one where you defend a building. So it's kind of like 3 maps in one. But I was a little let down that it was like, they're like, hey, we've been working on this for years and you only get 1 map. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But I do love the whole back and forth. Like, I should go on offense now. Like, oh, we've got 4 on defense. Like, because we have to, because they've got literally everyone on offense. But if we get one guy to sneak on over, they can plant the objective. It's cool. I don't know if it will be long lasting. I hope that they'll support it long term. And I hope this is something that people flock to, because it does kind of give a more casual, but at the same time the same feeling of what Rainbow Six Siege is good at is like, oh yeah, I'm defending or I'm on offense, but you can bounce between the two and you don't feel like you're just wasting your time waiting for the next match to start.
Yeah.
So I like that. But at the end of the day, it is still Rainbow Six Siege. It is they updated some of the visuals of the map.
Thousands of hours into. Yeah.
Yeah. The maps, a couple of the maps got the visual overhaul, which they look great, but it's not like you're playing a brand new game. It's still the same game.
Yeah. I was always surprised by how well they optimized the engine after launch. Like, I remember when Siege first launched and people were really struggling to hit good frame rates with it. Like, there was all kinds of engine optimization issues and laggy crap going on. And then like now it's been upgraded to Vulkan. Everything's been crazy optimized. And like people are getting like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of FPS, they're just like, yeah, if I got this GPU.
Yeah, well, it's now the Counter-Strike, where you want to have a bajillion FPS to get that advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Since it's like one shot headshot still. Yep. Right. So you got to be the first one to do it. Well, that's cool. I'm glad you got to jump back. It's obviously like a significant update for the world of gamers, and that, like, especially if you've never played Siege throughout the years, you can now do it for free. So hopefully that'll kind of ensure its longevity as a franchise, as a esport-ish shooter.
I don't see it going anywhere. Yeah. I think it's, as you said, I think they're in it for the long haul, but I think it's becoming what Counter-Strike and all those other, and Valorant, I think, to some extent as well, where it's like we can't keep pumping new maps, we can't keep pumping out new characters all the time, because it's just it's not feasible, right? It's too much. It becomes bloated. To a degree,
though, that's like kind of like they've hit the end goal of their game design, right? Where they're like, we've done everything we can think of. So at this point, all we can do is kind of add in little modes that you'll enjoy for a period of time and then replace them with something else.
Fix problems, Yeah.
We're like, Counter-Strike is like, they're not adding anything to that game at this other than skins, and weird little DLC.
Yeah, they had maps and stuff, but you're right.
They're not doing.
It's a much more.
Major.
It's like you're not going to come in and change basketball and football, right? Yeah. It's become its thing. It does what it does, and you roll with it.
Yeah. So they've kind of hit the dream, right? Might not be the dream as a game developer where you're getting bored of working on the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
But as a company and a product, you've kind of achieved the dream to a degree. So good for them, man. It's kind of interesting because it's been around for so long. And I do remember the very early days of going to some like janky basement like press release thing for like the first iteration of the game and being like, yeah, this is cool. It's got some jank to it, but it's cool. Yeah. So it's just cool to watch the project kind of evolve and turn into what it has today.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. I think now is a solid time to wrap up the old podcasts. I will remind our viewers that if you would like to support the podcast further, you can check us out on Patreon. There's a link for it in the video description. You can hop on in with the people who are watching us live right now and then continue after the podcast is over for a little post-podcast chat, discussion, wrap-up. Matt likes to talk about his knitting and what he's working on. And it's a good time. It is a good time.
Yeah.
Yarn bombing, all that stuff. So, and
Never heard
you
that
know
term
what?
before.
If you don't want to support us on Patreon, that is totally fine as well. You will still get Matt's free advice every single week. Matt, take it away.
Yes. So my advice this week is to have the courage, even if you're a little hesitant, to try new things, even if it might not turn out well. Sometimes it will.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with me shaving my hair.
It's fine. You look aerodynamic. You look
Thank
like
you. I think it looks good. But dude, I was hesitant. I was like, this could be a mistake.
you don't know what's under there, you know?
You don't. Yeah, it could be rough. Could look okay. And I think we landed on the okay part.
Yeah.
I'm liking it so far.
You could jump into some of those biker spandex and like
There we go.
you'd be
Yeah.
ready to go. Like
Who's to say I'm not wearing spandex right now? Level cap.
That's true. I don't know.
Can't see what's below the You never know.
Some of those soapbox colored spandex, you know, and get out there and start. You know, like biker outfits, they're always like neon green or orange or something.
Yes.
You're like,
Yeah,
you look like
yeah.
a detergent box, you know.
Well, it's because people got to see you when you're riding on the bike trail. Usually a lot of the trails are on the street, so you want those cars to see you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think you have to get into it now, Matt. You got the look for it.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.